Salvete amici, quid novi tibi? Hi friends, what's happening? This is in Latin. This is called pulpizo. Because my brain is creating thoughts. I want to explain a few things here, because I love to connect the dots. And you know what I say, we are created by coitus. And religious beliefs are a mental illness. It's an awful schizophrenia-like disorder. It's going to screw the whole our species. It's going to make us extinct. And it's spread in churches, synagogues, mosques, all this bullshit place of worship. But anyway, nobody seems to realize that we do create thoughts. We're product of coitus. Our brains are created by sperm fertilized in the egg from our dads, which is a true creator, and then we emerge with a blank brain. It happens all over. That's the way it is. Then we adopt the religious psychosis of our parents through the imprinting period and sensory gating and the five senses. We learn all that, and we began to navigate planet. When our brains malfunction, they can only produce distorted, malfunctioning thoughts, irrational beliefs accepted as true, etc. So that is a psychosis. And accepting imaginary friends or foes, irrational beliefs as true, which I call IFOFIBA, imaginary friends or foes, irrational belief acceptance, found in also neurological disorders like schizophrenia, and all religions have it. But they call it God. Do you believe in God? No. Do you believe in imaginary friends or crap like that? It shows that you have a problem with the brain. Only very young children cannot tell between fact and fiction, and the mentally affected, dysfunctional, retarded in a sense, they have an excuse. But educated people that, well-educated people that believe in the in IFOFIBA of the 12th century, thinking they are reality, which are all the religious, believe that, they have a problem. And this cancer, this HIV of the brain is spread in churches. I'm going to connect the dots here. I'm going to show you a few things, where things come from. Because the most important things, all religions created 40,000 years ago, this idea of IFOFIBA, are created in the brain by the ingestions of drugs, entheogens, unknowingly. And of course, wondering everything, why everything came from, and of course, orgasm. Sex, orgasm, which it was attributed by the ancients 40,000 years ago to the things that they didn't understand. The air, the planets, the sun, which is our life giver. So the sun began to be worshipped, as well as the sexual organs that gives us pleasure, the penis, lady's vagina, and the nipples of a lady that keeps us alive. In truth, our creator is the penis of our fathers. The cave of creation is the mother's womb that accepted penis Christ, that's the way I call it, the Lord and Savior that blesses us with orgasm. It deposits the sperm, fertilizing the egg, initiating a zygote, and here we are, 9 months later, with a blank brain, not believe. But in ancient times, you can see 12,000 years ago, this is very interesting, because what happened is that they found out that Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, this is amazing. First, the archaeologists and anthropologists and geologists, they thought that humans began with agriculture first, but that's not the case, because archaeology proves that first began the idea of the concept of religious psychosis. In other words, of the concept of religious and things that are unusual, and trying to understand things that happen. Of course, that involves sex, and also the ingestion of entheogens. And they have like about 12 of these pieces, temples, and you can see it's interesting because the temple is in the shape of a vagina. And there were a lot of ceremonies in there, and they have all these T's, these figures, these columns. But these T's are actually, they're anthropomorphic figures. They're figures that present like men, but with headless. Well, there's a lot of hypotheses. Why headless? My opinion is because everybody's worshipping the sun. The sun is just something, it's like the head, and it also represents is the life giver because it makes everything grow. And they equated that with our penis. And the penis is very similar to a snake. So they start relating snakes and animals and all that, the birds, they didn't know how they flew, so that was related to that. So, and then you have an orifice. It's become sacred. It represents also orifice. It represents also the orifice that gave us pleasure, which is the anus, and it's also the vagina and the mouth. This is 3 orifices in ladies. So you have that idea, and then of course the erect men. And they found they've been finding about 14 of these that are buried. This temple there is amazing that they discover all this. Of course, the ancient aliens cry psychosis infected imbeciles, with this conspiracy theory morons. They probably think the aliens created everything. Not true, but everything is related to sex. There's a temple, you have the lady with the breast, and the breasts themselves they're equivalent to the glans penis, because it also created a liquid. They had no idea between semen and breast milk. They thought that it was the same liquid. So to the ancients, ladies' breast was actually equivalent to the glans penis. It was very unusual for them, very confusing. So all the gods became hermaphrodite. They had 2 sexes. So the sun was represented as a woman and sometimes a man, and both sexes and all that. So that was very confusing for them. Here's another representation of the T, which in a way it represents a man, but it represents the sun god. The T is almost like a cross, which is the rise of the sun god, and many civilizations like the swastika and the Zia of the Native Americans, and they have these geometrical shapes representing the symbols, the gods and all that. This is where your crucifixion bullshit comes from. So you have, this represents men, but also represents the sun. And you have here, they all have these figures. And the figures are all sex. They represent sex. It's like having sex with animals, in a sense. But they're anthropomorphic. And then you have here a man, erect, but headless, which is baffled archaeologists. Headless. Why headless? But then also you see little flowers and stuff. Because the little flowers, like Atropa belladonna, psilocybe, and nobody mentions this, they're drugs. These people have these drugs. They had no idea. Dilated the pupils, painted in caves over 30,000 years ago. Cave paintings, very unusual. That's what the gods were. Affects your brain, and you see all kind of stuff. And later on, they start writing religious texts because people are drunk. So, and here, and this is interesting. People say, "Oh, this was in the villa of Lucius Carpunio Piso Sassoninus, which is the father-in-law of Julius Caesar de Jesus Christ, the Christus." This is in his villa. That was fun. He's a man who's an Epicurean, tremendously intellectual. But this is a representation of the fun. You see, the horns represent also the race of the sun god. But it seems like having sex. No, he is actually procreating, is equivalent. And then also the fertilizing, the goat gives milk of the fields. In other words, it's like the rays of the sun god fertilizing the earth and making things grow. It's all personification. It's the same thing like saying Uncle Sam. POTUS. POTUS is equivalent to the President of the United States, a representation, a name, a title. POTUS is saving Uncle Sam. And Uncle Sam is represented by this guy with a top hat. Well, it's the same representation of United States of America, Uncle Sam. So this is representation of fields and things. You have here an erect Hermes, but you see there's all a cube. It's like those cube figures of the sun god, geometric shapes, like the T's, the same thing, but with a penis. And this, of course, is Greek. And then you have the Egyptian religion that began. This is interesting because the Egyptian religion, the idea was God Atun, this is over 5,000 years ago, the God Atun, the hermaphrodite God, he existed by himself in a mount, and he became erect. He put his penis in his mouth, and he had the autofellatio. It's like a snake eating his own tail, like infinity is called the autoborus, and he came his seed into his own mouth, and he spit. But actually he used his feminine side, which is the hand of God, to masturbate into his mouth. So he spit the universe into existence. So he was a hermaphrodite God, and you can see here committing the fellation, the autofellation, and you see also that he created the stars and everything. Then you see the people that the faithful, the Pharaoh, which was the son of God, son of the sun God, Ramses. Ramses means Moses means son of, and Ra, the sun God. Ramoses means son of the sun God. It's a title, like POTUS, President of the United States. So anyway, in here, he's creating, but here you have a supplicant. He's kneeling down, you know, waiting to have his milk, giving milk to put it in his mouth. He's supplicant. So actually, when people go to church and do this, they are actually performing fellatio. And Christ psychotics don't understand that, but it's the truth. The Muslims, when they bow like that and lift their butt up in the air, because sodomy, you know, rubs the prostate gland and makes the person feel good and gives orgasm, also the males and females too, then it was something mysterious. But it was sacred, it was not pornographic. So therefore, that's what the Muslims do when they lift the butt up in the air. They want to be blessed by penis Christ, like as I call it. And you see that. You see the gestures. They all want to have the semen. And then you see the supplicant in here again. And this is fact. I mean, I'm just a messenger. I'm connecting all the dots. So if somebody ranks me down or attack me, well, screw them. Because I can slap them with facts. I bury them with facts because I don't bullshit. I just tell it like it is. And also the atheists, because a lot of atheist intellectuals are clueless and dumb. I mean, in a way, they in only one field. But they don't realize that Christianity is the most dangerous of the schizophrenias. It's a very dangerous mental disorder. And it's present in churches. They rape the brain of children, keeping Americans ignorant, dumb, and deluded, believing in crap. They should teach them real history and real things. Fact stuff, religious bullshit works. So anyway, you have the same thing is happening here. Receiving, you see this is like a cross. This here, it is actually for flames. You use that for bracers, for flames from the flame of God. So it's very similar to a cross. And you see the ladies doing that. You see the Christ-psychotic infected imbeciles praying. And then you see, this is called the Shen. This is the Ouroboros, eating his own sperm. But you notice the hand extended like this. Is represented by the Shen, which is the symbol here, which is this. Symbol of infinity. Today they have the lazy 8. Actually, in fact, this is a representation of infinity. The snake eating its own tail. It's called the Ouroboros, like that. And this is the creation, of course. And I will continue in a minute. So here you have, I call it penis Christ. This is the Shen, the signature of the Pharaoh Nebra. And the Pharaoh Nebra is in itself, you know, you have a cartouche. The cartouche is what the proper names of the pharaohs are placed. But notice that they have 3 penises with the 2 hands. And I call it the 3 times the prick, because it's 3 penises. But this is this fact. I'm not bullshitting on this. This is all, if you connect the dots, anybody can see it. Anybody with brains can see it. Anybody mentally healthy, in other words, an atheist can actually see it. A lot of atheist intellectuals like Dawkins and Harris and all these people are clueless. They had no idea. And they let the Christ-psychotic infected imbeciles corrupt the mind of children in churches, keeping them theotarded. And also, and this is interesting here because you see the worshipping of the penis that is sacred. And then you have what you put on your head. Everything has a symbol, everything has a meaning, everything. Okay, we males have a penis, we create, in other words, we're gods. If somebody said, do you believe in God, wife of Eva? I just said, yes, God is my dad. that spit DNA semen in milk, sacred milk, into the cave of my mom and initiated the creation of my brain. And we think with the brain, not with the ass. So here you have the Pharaoh Akhenaten. They worship the sun, and the sun has little hands, and it's also the sun rays, they are penises. It's like a snake coming around fertilizing the earth. And here it is, uncircumcised penis. And you see it here in a lot of the Babylonian headdress. The Assyrians have that. The Greek have the same thing, but look at the ridges here. And also, the stupid, crass-psychotic, infected, imbecile popes and all these morons and priests of all kinds, they put something in their head. It comes from putting the penis. They're all dickheads. So anyway, I continue. You see here, Akhenaten and the sun. And the sun also has a penis in it. And he has the hands coming around fertilizing the earth. You can see that. It's all related. But the Pharaoh himself, he never shown erect, because the penis is very sacred. He might sometimes show his skirt coming like this, like, you know, shows an erection, but he's never presented, because the erection, a male with an erection represents a god, a personification. So it's too sacred for any pharaoh to actually present himself naked and all that. No. So you see it's like an uncircumcised penis. That's Akhenaten. Now you see here, there's a tomb of an official, Amenhotep, and his wife Hemet of the Middle Kingdom, 1991 BCE. In other words, this is a long time ago, over 3,000, and then look at what she's having here. She is having blue lotus. He's hallucinogenic material. When you eat that flower, oh man, with preparation, you'll see the gods. You write a Bible, and this is what happened. You saw the offerings here, and you see the man is erect. This is what it represents. Only the gods can be shown the penis like that, because it's too sacred of an organ. You see it here in Greece. You see here the cryptocratic infected imbeciles that chop their penises off of these. And again, this is a representation of the forest. It's not a person with horns. It's not a Satan imbeciles. It's a representation. Here is the guy with the crook. He is collecting, in Greek, he's collecting the semen that is sacred. And of course, you see the symbol like this is because this is a symbol of blessing. But it comes from holding your penis. When you urinate, you hold your penis this way. And then, because it's too sacred, and everything is sacred. In the Roman religion, all the religions, the penis was very sacred, the vagina was sacred, the nipples was sacred, everything is sacred. And then you go like this and you bless. You go like that. So when you're blessed like this, means I blessed you with my dick, with the penis Christ, I call it. So anyway, here you have Venus of Willendorf. Again, you know, 30,000 years old, something like that. But again, you see here, this is very interesting. You see here the ridges. You know, there was the Venus of Willendorf, the fertility symbol, like they say fertility, but it's more than that, because it represents that she has two gland penis on her chest, because the gland penis was equivalent to a man's gland. They all shoot milk. They had no idea what the liquids were. As you can see here, the comparison. It's a Roman sculpture, sacred sculpture. Again, you have a Silenus. Heart is collecting the semen of a god. That's the reason he's dressed like this, with the whole, the egg to hold, and then you put the flowers on it, the hallucinogenic material. And in the Renaissance paintings, you see the meal was considered sacred, and it's blessing with another. In other words, one of those priests comes around and start committing fellatio on a guy or something like that, one of assistants. You go like this. Well, you know why? Because it comes from all that. People are so confused. The crass-psychotic infected imbeciles had so confused about sex, the morons, considering women inferior and all that crap, and still with us today. They don't understand history. They don't connect the dots. As you can see where it comes from. It comes from the penis. There. And as you can see here, again, we have that. Here, this is interesting because you have hallucinogenic flowers here. Notice this. That is the reason you have all these little flowers in the temples, and the Virgin Mary is always offering by Angel Gabriel flowers. They're datura flowers. Many, many flowers. Devil's trumpets, just name it. If you prepare them in the correct way, oh boy, you'll write all kind of Bibles and sacred texts. And this is what's happening here. See? And he is actually, obviously, ingesting the drugs, and of course having the little ceremony, because all religions have sacred sex and sacraments, which are drugs. Nobody tells you this. The dumb idiots that don't understand this connect that because they're infected in Christianity, infected homes. 1700 years of Christianity infection and imbecilities and moronic and theotardism make people stupid. Reading only one book in churches all the time, you get very, very dumb. Here you see the angel Gabriel always appearing. There's God with his hand like this, touching his dick, you know, like that. And then you see, I'm here having datura flowers there. That's where the whole thing comes from, right there. And also in here in the cuirass, you see the cuirass here? Right there is the flowers. And you see that flower like that, it's there everywhere. And also in this monument, you see the dresses. These are datura and henbane and some other hallucinogenic. This thing is extremely hallucinogenic. This stuff, some of this stuff is very dangerous because sometimes it's poison. If you don't prepare those flowers and the mushrooms and all Amanita muscaria, psilocybin, all that, you don't prepare it correctly, like peyote in Native Americans. They all have those in sacraments. If the Catholic Church of all the churches will have real sacraments instead of this little wafer with the stupid wine, no, get real sacraments and everybody will see God and the churches will be full of people every Sunday going over there to church. And you see this? And when you start having all these drinks, then what will happen is, and all this hallucinogenic stuff, the sacrament, you will see all these visions. This is the temptation of St. Anthony. Supposedly, no evidence he existed, but anyway, when people see devils and demons and come around, they're taking all kind of drugs, sacraments, and that's what's happening. There's a tropa belladonna, as I said. It makes your pupils large and actually makes you see all kind of gods. And this is a problem. People don't realize that. So anyway, this I am in the Roman Forum, one of the temples of the Jesus Christ emperors. I was turned into a screwed up church by the imbeciles. So there are these people at the Spiegel. They have ruined Rome, the monument. They put church and garbage of it. It's like a Disneyland of these imbeciles. Disgusting, these people. The Vatican, disgusting people, keeping everybody totalitarian, ignorant, and dumb. But anyway, Antonius Pius and there was a temple. They all created temples, but they all have little flowers in there. And again, this is the hand that masturbated the god, which is in the Middle East they use the Hamsa. The Jews have the Hamsa. The Hebrews have also the hand of God, and this is in Aachen, in Trier, Germany. Not Trier, Aachen. In El La Chapelle, the Church of Criminal Christ Psychotic Constantine, what's his name? Carolus Magnus, Charlemagne, not Constantine, Charlemagne, and he had all the reliquary to put all these bones of saints and stuff on a hand. But why a hand? Because it's the hand that masturbated. See how stupid these people are? And again, you see the symbol here. And the symbol is everywhere. There is the Hamsa and the Arabian and the Jewish hand of God. The hand that masturbated God. The idiots here praying, they want to suck dick. That's what they want to do, commit fellation. People don't know that. They're all doing the same thing. Look at that. On the stupid rug. See? That's psychosis. We are in the 21st century, we're not in the 12th century. And the stupid, clueless, history ignorant, atheist, intellectuals don't get educated. Dawkins is completely stupid in history. He might have a fluid, beautiful English, something like Harris, but these people, they don't even know neurology. They don't understand that we are created, our brains are created by coitus of our dads, when you spit semen into our mother's cave. And then we born. Nobody says that. I'm the only one that says it. What is wrong with these idiots here? Atheist imbeciles in here, in this country. And it makes me mad because it corrupts the brain of children and they don't say anything. Look at these idiots, you know, lifting up their butt. I mean, if penis Christ come around and actually visit them, the asses, and I'll show you something interesting on asses, because you're going to see something really nice about the ass of God, the title of my video here. You'll see the ass of God. Because they receive pleasure. Because the ladies, vaginas, and the anus, the cave of unclean spirits, as I call it, they create orgasm. They can give a lot of pleasure to any male. It makes no difference if you're straight or gay. It makes no difference. If you get penetrated and your prostate gland get touched, a rub is a very erotic zones, you are going to get erect and you're going to have good feelings. But if you're a Christ-psychotic infected imbecile, you feel guilty. But that's what it is. And then you'll have, you see, this idiot here, psychotic, Christ-psychotic infected imbecile here, the Pope's dumb idiot, playing to the, he's playing to a vagina in the sky, to Venus, to Artemis. And this one is getting milk from the Virgin Mary. It's actually semen too. See, and this is a vagina here. And this is the picture of Jesus Christ with the gesture on a vagina. And in ancient Rome, the bull was sacred. But the bull is they call it the bucranium. It's a skull of a bull. And it represents the fallopian tubes. See that? It's the same like the fallopian tubes. And all these ripples represent the air. So the bull was sacred, but it has a representation. And the horns represent the penis of the sun god. See that? The ancients didn't know what it was. But I'm showing it to you. I'm connecting dots. And everything I say has the evidence to back it up. I don't bullshit. And I don't put up with Christ-psychotic infected imbeciles. I crush it with facts. I bury them. Because they're deluded and psychotic. And lobotomy will cure Christ-psychosis. You manipulate the brain and the morons will give them some entheogens. The morons, you know, will do anything you want to. They will be so stupid. They'll never believe in it. They say, Jesus who? That's how stupid these Christians are in churches, corrupting the mind of children. Despicable. And see, the shell represents Venus, the vagina. Here's a Roman depiction of Venus, which was born out of the sperm of the god of the sea. And then you see here, the goddess Artemis, that's where your Virgin Mary comes from Ephesus. The Roman town that the stupid Christians visit all the time, think, oh, the Virgin Mary, all that, which is total nonsense. But anyway, you see the chest, it has a scrotum, has balls, you know, and also represents tits. So it's hermaphrodite god. That's what it represents. And here is Venus. This represents the air. It's covering the air to get, because anything that floats around, when you put something in your head, it represents the air. You trap in the air. And these are all facts, my friends. The penis Christ is made to enter orifices. Here is in the Sistine Chapel. You have the God making men. Here is an ass, which gives a lot of pleasure, because asses give pleasure to penis Christ. Try it sometimes, you'll see. Here in the a building in Cologne, it has where the bishop Correjo von Staden, one important bishop there from the 1700s, and it has the autofellatio. Is committing the autofellatio here. His sculpture is set on top of the autofellatio, which represents infinity. And it's taken from also Egyptian religion, as you can see here, the autofellatio. So everything is related to sex, and it is the ass of God that gives you pleasure. And here is a Hindu temple. Here is a very nice cave of unclean spirits of a man. And this entering this man's cave will create a lot of pleasure. And to anyone, you know, it is a fact. And as you can see this in primates, the color asses that attracts the penis cries of primates. Here is again the ass. So penis cries gets orgasm when enters caves.
Well,
Asses.
I hope you enjoy this presentation. They're all based in facts. And remember, God is the penis of our dads and gives orgasm. And is always looking for ass. The orifices of God. So anyway, keep that in mind. Okay, enjoy it. If you believe in God's Iphofiba, imaginary friends or foes, you have a problem with your brain. And this, God believe, is a brain disease, like a schizophrenia type of disorder. Pace de Oram. All the best.